Hello, everyone. Great to be here in Berlin in a promotion summit. So today we are going to discuss achieving app engagement to battle against churn with this great guest. Let me briefly introduce my company and myself. So I work for App Samurai as a head of product for more than 3 years now. And App Samurai has its 3 products. So the first one is App Samurai, the user acquisition platform. And the second one is Intercepted. It's the fraud protection suite. And the third one, Storyly, is a user engagement platform. And this is my current focus, actually. So we can move with you guys. So please introduce yourself, and I will have some questions for you.
I'm Alex. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at TaxFix. Been there about 2 years. A couple other startups before that, and at PayPal before. I'm on the data and software side of marketing and live in Berlin. And happy to be here as well.
Hi, I'm Jakub. I'm a Senior Product Manager at Freeletics, and I'm working right now on a mission to help our users to connect to each other and motivate each other. And previously in marketplaces, in ad tech, and in travel search, so quite a lot of different industries.
All right, so there's a tradition in this summit. Normally, as an icebreaker question, we are asking to pick an app that you cannot live without, but it shouldn't be your app. So you cannot pick Freeletics. You should pick one app that you cannot live without.
For me, it's quite personal. I've, especially in the recent times, since March last year, I haven't been sleeping so well. So I'm using apps which help me to monitor quality of my sleep and as well optimize my daily routine to different times when my body cycle is kind of I'm optimized and tuned for focus work or for chill down. So I'm using Fitbit for monitoring, and then Rise, which is the app that gives you the kind of optimal window. On this time of the day, you will be optimal productivity. On this time of the day, better chill out. On this time of the day, start your kind of down routine before getting to sleep. So this is quite...
Are these working with Freeletics, or can you connect?
They right now do not work with Freeletics, but you can use a portfolio of apps to improve your life.
And Alex?
I was going to say something aspirational like Kindle, and then I checked the data on my iPhone, and it appears to be YouTube. At least that's what my behavior tells me. No, I think I have a almost tormented level of curiosity that I need to fill, and the depths of YouTube are very good at filling that. And when I want to learn, it's Kindle, but it's definitely YouTube.
Did this COVID-19 stuff affect that choice? Because during that COVID-19 process, I was also using YouTube a lot, but it was just for spending some time instead of friends.
I think it was Twitch before.
Oh, really?
It's shifted to YouTube. I don't know why. I learned a lot about sourdough bread and a whole range of other things that have nothing to do with my life.
I guess most of the people in the world now knows how to do sourdough bread. Thanks to COVID. All right, both are the great answers. Thank you very much. Another question, since we have international community, people need to understand your apps a little bit better. Maybe I can ask you something if your users or you were to identify your app as a person, who would it be? I mean, you can pick any celebrity or you can talk about the personality of your app. Alex, let's start with you.
Yes. I think in our case, it's that friend that knows everything about finance and taxes that you might go to. And if you don't have that friend, then you should probably find one. If you don't have one yet and you can't find one, then try our app if you live in Germany or France or Italy. So imagine you go to that friend and you say, hey, I need to know something about these taxes. And I don't want to deal with it, or I can't deal with it. Please help me out. Then that's basically us. And it should lead to the fact that you're paying as little as possible in taxes, and that you just have the easiest tax filing experience you can imagine.
Before moving into Jakub, I want to ask another question to you, because I investigated TaxFix a bit, and I saw that the interface is pretty conversational, and actually app is talking with me. Did you try to change that personality? I mean, did you try maybe some funny things, or did you ever test this?
Yes. So
because now, yes, I can trust TaxFix. When I talk with them, yes, that is the guy that I can ask anything related to TaxFix.
So I think the first year of the company was about figuring out what's that one thing that matters most to customers. above all else. Turns out it's data entry friction. And so, like, how much friction is there between the stuff that I've tried to store in my brain or in some other device, and then getting it through my like mental interface into a device? And it turns out we got it wrong a couple times in the beginning, and then after a year or so, we figured out this conversational approach is what reduces that friction in a new way. So it's about reduction of data entry friction, but there was a lot of trial and error to get there. That conversational approach was not the first attempt.
I mean, the thing that strikes me most is how you use the interface in the app, because like you should check text fix, like it brings the UI from the bottom. So normally, like when you have conversational screens, it's full screen and you are swiping up. But in text fix, it comes from the bottom, so you don't have to like move your finger a lot. So you are just entering the input. Yeah, that was great experience. And let's move with Jakub. I mean,
so I think I'll follow Alex here. So Freeletics would be, if you ask some of your friends who is like, if they know someone who is good like in fitness or training and you want to learn how to start, and they recommend you a guy who like studied fitness, knows all the sports science, sits in that all day, and this guy or girl is actually available for you. They can have time. They really like think about you, learn about you, and take all of this sports science into a training plan that is very much adjusted to you, and they will stick with you. So they motivate you. If whatever you feel, today I don't want to train or I don't want to do legs, they adjust the plan for you. So they really follow your journey and be your motivator, your guide on this, on you becoming the better, fitter version of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I am using Freeletics for more than 2 years now, and you already know the story behind it, actually. Normally, like when you use health and fitness apps, you're talking with a guy with huge muscles, he knows everything and he's powerful than you. He's saying that like you should do this, but in Freeletics, you are with a friend. So that is like most beautiful experience.
We do have these guys as well.
Yeah.
They are amazing. They always are a great source of inspiration, and they are the brains behind what the app is proposing our users to do.
Oh,
yeah.
Probably I need to learn how to talk with them to like my own health. Yeah. All right. So I can start with a really generic question. The biggest challenge during the engagement life cycle you have in because while you are managing your app, there are tons of ideas comes from anyone in the company probably. What was the biggest challenge for you, especially like engaging your users, keeping them in the app? Probably like your targets are really high because these are popular apps. Which one is the biggest challenge up until now? You can.
Yeah. So I think as for most apps, the biggest challenge, especially when it comes to retention, is the first few days or first use. With Freeletics, as with any behavior changing app, as with apps that offer you courses or training or any type of where you want to change something in your behavior, there is the aspiration part and there is actual doing it part, right? And that's quite a big gap, especially in the beginning. So people come to Freeletics motivated, they really want to train, but there's a big gap between downloading the app and actually sweating several minutes later or the next day or a few days later. So for us, the main challenge usually is how to help them and guide them for the first week or 2 or 3 before they feel the progress. This becomes their routine, and that's something that they start incorporating into their life. So the activation and that's the biggest challenge right now usually, right? And for that we have both in product several elements which help kind of from psychological perspective. We really ask people when they want to train. They plan the first week. They can schedule how much they want to train in order for them to really see themselves like, okay, it's Tuesday, this time I'm going to do this, right? And it's kind of planning already ahead. This is coming from some behavioral studies that this helps people to vote, to do whatever they want to start with. And we have a team of super passionate experimentators who are heavily using Brace and other CRM tools to accompany users in the first few days and weeks and experiment what works better, whether users need more motivation, whether they need to learn about this feature on day 3 or day 5, how to teach them and keep them active for the first few days before they start being quite active on their own. The second one would be, as in normal lives, something happens, you skip your training, and then how we bring you back. And we have a slew of features that help you to adjust the level of your training. Like, we welcome you, great, you're back. Maybe you'll try an easier session first. Maybe you need a kind of warm-up first before you come back to your normal routine. And a lot of kind of motivator factors to keep users in their fitness mindset, in their like the best churn prevention is actually not let them stop using the app and keep being engaged. So that's where we investing a lot to keep users active in one way or another.
That's a great answer. Thank you. And Alex, what's your biggest challenge?
I think in this company and in any company I've been in, it's really understanding what is that one need of a customer. Retention and engagement are symptoms of understanding how to create value.
These are the results.
Yeah, and like to understand how to create value, you actually need to understand real needs of customers. And there's that, what was this, Jeff Bezos line? It's like understanding needs of customers is not, it's very, very hard. It takes a long time to develop that skill. And I think there's an underappreciation for just developing judgment around understanding needs of customers. And that historically product teams and design teams have been the most oriented towards that challenge, but that actually marketing teams need to reorient themselves towards that challenge too, because marketing teams are not just distributing messages, they can also create value. But if they don't understand how to create value, it's hard to drive engagement. And I find that this often leads to strategies, tactics that are about influencing the symptom rather than fixing the cause. And for me, the cause is understanding how to create value. It's a bit of a generic answer. I think in tactics, it's about fear of reprisal or fear of missing out. So some people there don't want to miss out on like some upside, and others they're really scared of like downside. Like the government's gonna show up to my house and like abduct me is the craziest one that I've heard. People have different ways of generating value in those circumstances, but the key needs are around those two fear points.
Great answer. I mean, I want to move with the first part of your answer, the generic one, because like there are different ways to collect insights, right? The customer interviews, product research is, of course, a couple of methods that we can use, but the other one is onboarding. I mean, when you collect information during the onboarding process, you can always customize your app experience, you can personalize it. And like, as far as I know, TaxFix is using that method a lot, because like in the onboarding process, you have more than 20 questions. Like, these are fun questions because like you're asking that how much money did you earn, and these are good questions to answer. But maybe like we can dig into your approach on onboarding. I mean, how did you come up with that idea? Because like instead of standard sign up process afterwards, maybe like filling a long form to get your tax, you are doing it right after the downloading the app section. So how did you come up with that onboarding idea, and how is it going so far?
I think it's a function of what I mentioned earlier, one of these truths, data entry friction. It's there's like a happy path and a sad path. If you put people down the sad path, you can also put people down a happy path instead of a sad path. So for example, if you have a very complex tax case, we probably shouldn't help you. You should probably talk to an expert and pay thousands of euros to get very specialized advice. We're more a mass market solution. And what we want people to understand is as fast as possible, like, can we fix your problem? And the only way to do that is to ask a whole bunch of qualifying questions. It's actually quite normal in enterprise sales. You spend a whole ton of time qualifying people in the first place. And that qualification adds so much value to people you cannot support. While also, for the people you can support, you can personalize later on. So it's just this understanding of like, okay, data entry friction is the most important thing. For the happy path, the people that we want to support in our target segment, what does it enable? But for the people that we cannot support, but still want to add value, still leave a positive memory of that brand interaction, then it also lets us say, hey, we can't help you right now, and maybe even try to help them out with some other partner. And like, yeah, you should go and talk to them instead. That's actually going to help you.
Got it. I mean, these are the qualification questions, but like when you have that many of questions, maybe you can ask some more question just for the future. So let's ask this stuff to our users. Maybe we can bring another value in upcoming months. I don't know. But did you try this sort of stuff? Or is it like, are you trying to keep it as short as possible? Or like, is it an experiment area for you?
I think it's an experiment area. We're at this, I'd call it, it's not a T-shaped crossing. We're more like at a three-way crossing where we have to decide, are we going to go focus on people that are more convenience-oriented, people that are more simplicity-oriented, or people that are more stress and caution-oriented? Because the needs are so different for each person. Some people want more questions. Some people want 0 questions. Like, what's that experience? Which one do we focus on? I think we're at that stage of figuring that out. So it's an experimentation stage for us.
It's like, it's always great to play with some kind of toys inside our apps to learn more about our users. So yeah, I want to move with some community building questions. So let's move with Jakub. So when you use health and fitness app, there are 2 parts, like the competition stuff and the tracking stuff, because like that application should track you. Because like when you do exercise, the app should know about it. And there should be some competition between you and your friends probably, because like you want to feel that you're moving. You're now better version of yourself, basically. So my question is, when you have a challenge of competition and the tracking, like how do you create a community feeling between your app? What could be some creative ways to generate a community feeling for the apps?
I think you touch here on 2 aspects, and one is the kind of comparing to yourself, tracking and competing with even the past, your past self. And here, Freeletics has been very strong in always. We have workouts designed to be kind of your benchmark, and you can do this workout, and they are part of your plan. So you do it today. It's super hard. You do it in 3 weeks, and you see improvement, and you can see your progress over time. And with this kind of benchmark workouts, you can as well see the leaderboards and compare with other people how you're doing. And 2 months ago, we released a feature which is called skill progression. So which is even part of the kind of ongoing engagement. So it's not the early stage. It's rather like how we keep users having some variety and having something fresh to look up to and a goal to achieve. Where you can choose additional goal. Maybe you want to master pull-ups or one-hand push-ups or something which is quite ambitious. And then within your plan, we're adding the special elements over time, so you're progressing towards additional goal. So that is one way we want to keep existing users still feeling they are getting new value and they still see some progress over time. Not only keep training, right? Yeah. And then the second aspect is the comparing or even just being able to do something with community or being part of community or doing something with your friends. And especially now with the current situation with the pandemic, we do crave human connection a lot, right? And the top reason why people want to come back to gyms is not to move a lot of metal, it's to meet friends. And that's why we're investing heavily into the kind of local small part of your nearest community, your tribe, where we experiment how to enable users to bring their friends to Freeletics, not just by giving them a discount, but by creating a context for you to bring them to do something together or to start doing something easy with me. And we just released a very early version of we enabling users to create the small groups and group challenges, so you can challenge your other friends who do Freeletics, and a part of your personal training plan, you can do something together, which is relatively easy, but keeps all of you motivated, keeping each other accountable, and kind of having a bit of friendly competition in that vein. In community as well, there's an aspect of feeling of belonging to something bigger, and here we do invest right now in our ambassador network. We have a network of incredible people who are not professional athletes, but they started their journey several years ago, and now they are inspiration for the others, and they are building the local communities, and they are meeting these users wherever they are. So whether this is Discord, Reddit, in the app, on WhatsApp, on Facebook groups, they are there. And but we're still going to innovate in this kind of bigger feeling of belonging to something bigger next year.
Do you have an active participation on these groups on Reddit or Discord, or like just the community, just the end users?
So these are for end users, but we quite often we are there as well. So we either by ambassadors or by us, we go to these groups, we meet these local communities.
It's I mean, great way to like create social validation actually, because like in health and fitness app, it's always easy to trust because like you can see familiar faces. But when you have a text app, like you should deliver something that let people trust you. And I think one of the biggest challenge for these type of utility apps is creating that trust between the app and the user. Of course, you can do it inside the app, but you can also use some other channels like social media, or I don't know, maybe a YouTube channel. I don't know. So I want to ask about this to you, Alex. Like, how can you build up that trust between TaxFix and the end user? Because like they are giving information about their lives, and it's about money, so it's a bit private, and they need to trust you. So what are the things, what are the tips and tricks that you can recommend us to build that trust in these type of applications?
The trust it's an anthropology challenge, a psychology challenge. Yeah, it's what I find the most helpful is like put on the psychology hat, the anthropologist hat, and just go figure out like, okay, Homo sapiens, last 150,000 years, how does trust get built? There's a couple of patterns. One of the main patterns is you care about the same things as that other like Homo sapien, and you actually show them that you care, and you behave in a way that you show that you care. Then if you go and look at how polarizing politics has been, though, quite recently, is that you can see that there's groups of people that care about very different things. But if you go and look at the science behind it, the anthropology, the psychology, it's a pattern from the same last 150,000 years or so. So the first tip is like shift perspective. Don't look at it like a KPI challenge to crush a trust symptom, but like where do human beings get trust from an anthropological perspective and a psychological perspective? And then what we've realized in taxes is those needs are so different across the space. Let me give you an example. One person is obsessed about data security, and there's probably, statistically speaking, one person in this room that is obsessed about data security. I could tell you there are people that are 10 times more interested in data security than that one person. So showing them that we care about that. So making GDPR a competitive advantage, that's a way to look at it. For a lot of people, they go like, what do you mean GDPR competitive advantage? It can be a competitive advantage if it matters. Because again, if it's what they care about, then you have to behave in a way that you show that you care about the same thing. For others, it's just make it as simple as possible and just take care of it all for me. Like I really don't want to deal with this stuff. I don't want to deal with my taxes. I want it to disappear. I want it to be invisible. You have to show that you care about that at the same time. And so taxes is very mass market. Like most people that work need to file taxes, and in some countries also people that don't work need to file taxes. So you have to take a almost like anthropological view to the whole thing and just figure it out. It's not easy to build trust.
Yeah. I mean, is there any like these are great bold ideas, and what I want to ask is about the tactics level. I mean, is there any specific tactics? I mean, can you say something like bring some influencers to your Instagram channel and they are talking about the tax and how they are happy when they got their taxes back with TaxFix? Is it something like this, or
yeah? We do a bunch. There's a whole range of proven strategy stuff, right? It's like we work with a ton of influencers. Like Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, but more than 100 influencers or so this year. Next year, we're going to try and scale that up as well. And some influencers work, some don't, and just be really open to testing a whole range of different micro influencers and just look at the numbers, because often what you think is going to work, it's not actually going to work. So spread your bets in influencers is an example of a tactic. And there's a lot of opportunity there on the trust side. that is how trust is often transferred. Another tactic that comes to mind. Sorry, I have like a list of like 200 initiatives that we just went through for OKR planning in my head. I think it's over delivering and under promising, especially on tax returns. So some people, we tell them at the end of the flow, like, you're going to get this much money back from the tax authorities, and actually, like, variation in that number, it's quite important. And really, like, over delivering on what they think they're going to get in as a tax assessment from the government, and being super focused on the details of that is a great way to influence trust on a small scale per customer, but at scale, it's the whole customer base.
It's a great answer. So I hate to talk about COVID-19, but I need to get into that. And like, especially we have a guest from a like really popular health and fitness app, and we know that during these 2 years, some verticals have some advantages. Since we are in home, we need to do something, and we play with our phones, and in those phones, like, there are health and fitness apps. And so probably your users' behavior was changing during these 2 years, but now it's getting back to normal. I know that there are new variations, etc., but now people are in streets. So, like, how do you see the future of health and fitness app? Actually, I'm really, I need to get some clue about detecting user behaviors during long period of time, because, like, especially health and fitness, like, these 2 years was really interesting story, right? Because they're changing a lot. I mean, boom, you're in the like first line of top 10 apps. Boom, you're not in top 10. So how was it for you, and how do you see the future of health and fitness apps?
Last 2 years have been, was it already 2 years? A year and a half has been a quite interesting ride, from one side at least. I think I don't want to be a party pooper, but I think we're still not through. Like especially, like, I don't know where people are going to watch it from, but like in the most places on this planet, this is still ongoing process, and even here we are still locking down. We're not able to live our lives as we used to. And I think the what you said, going back to normal, the normal will be different than we knew it. And I think what is important is to right now for all the businesses to be able to react and see how quickly you can react to even for us, as we were on the rise, because people were not able to go to the gym and they were looking for ability to train and keep sane at home. We needed to adjust a lot of our programs, a lot of our language, a lot of how we communicated to be there where people needed us to be. And right now we as well observing how the use case is changing. So, like, what is the organic use case of training? How this is evolving in the world, in pandemic and post pandemic. And I think that's the general practice. You need to be able to adjust, and you need to be observing what is changing for your customers and be able to be there to serve them. In fitness, I think as similarly as in work, like there will be less of this kind of at home or in the office. It will be more in the hybrid, when people will be working more from home or from any location, and they will as well want to have a day in the gym or train at home. And there will be different contexts where you want to stay fit. You want to do a longer training, shorter training. So what we are preparing for is rather a situation where you may have equipment one day, but you don't have it on another day. You want to have a running day, or you want to have an easy day. And for your coach to be able to adjust, to plan with your life, to tell you that today do something on. If you want to run today, great. Next days you will have your access to your weights, so then you train with weights, and be able to incorporate this more complex lifestyle. This is one that we are seeing, and we are reacting to that. What is definitely something we're reacting to is the aforementioned human craving, human aspect, building the community, because we all crave for that. We all will be more distant in the future. So we are looking how we can bring it, not with another Zoom training or Zoom call, but with the other aspects, how you can feel you actually trained with someone, how you can actually feel you did something together or someone really supported you in your training. And this is something we're still learning because that's this new reality is new for everyone. And the third, I think it's like we do miss a lot of fun right now. And we're trying to how we can bring a lot of this fun to training to our industry. We just launched and announced new product on the Web Summit, which would be the kind of gamified training where you do have fun, but you sweat a lot and train really. And we'll be looking more how we can play more with this new formats, new mediums, how both fitness should evolve and how this community should evolve. Like we are not feed anymore. Like coming to your story, I just learned yesterday about a lady who's teaching Excel on TikTok, and she's extremely successful with that. I think we'll need to see where people are, where they move, and be there where they are, and it may mean that that we'll be having influencers on TikTok teaching tax practices, or having people training virtually but together.
I mean, I am in TikTok business kind now, so kind of. So that's why I know that stuff a bit. Did it affect your personalization structure? I mean, because like all of these changes are related to the community itself. I mean, it's a social thing, but when you personalize the app, it's something different. But did it affect your methods regarding this personalization layer in Freeletics?
To some extent, I think we have, as you were discussing, a lengthy process in the very beginning. So we ask several questions to actually be able to personalize the experience, because that's the main value we provide. It's not just exercises you can learn how to do sit up from YouTube, right? But only we knowing who you are, what level you are, what you want to achieve, how much you want to train, which modalities of training you want to actually do, whether you want to do body weight, weights, whether you want to run, then we can offer you very personalized experience afterwards. So we do have as well kind of onboarding process, and we experimented a lot what adds value both for us and as well what adds value in the user's perception of us being able to personalize, right? Because that's as well, this is a lengthy process, but as well it promises that the experience afterward will be for you, it will not be generic. And that's something that as well is interesting for us, how we can convene this this perception early on. And but then with the recent times, we did change with personalization. Mainly I think there was a lot of changes on our on both marketing and product, the way we communicated. So we needed to go through a lot of our comms and see we were as well heavily about training with friends or training outdoors. Suddenly it was impossible, right? So we needed to adjust that. In product, a lot of personalization was how we can help people to include, like gyms are closed. You may have some equipment at home or buy equipment either from us or from any other source. How we incorporate that into this like we have years of tweaking these algorithms, but they were mainly body weight algorithms, and suddenly they need to as well be able to incorporate weights. And that's what's been an interesting journey for our data scientists and sports scientists. And now we're bringing that together, how we can make it really holistic training system where you can tell us what you have and what is your preference, and then we will be personalizing day by day, training by training to you. So this is still an ongoing journey. Yeah. But I think COVID was only kind of slight twist on that. I think we're still going forward.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, I'm coming to an end because like we have 5 minutes left, but I'll close with some assumption. Let's say that we are creating an app. We launch the app. Probably we are tracking some metrics like day 7 retention, maybe day 30 retention, maybe sessions per week. These are all meaningful for most of the apps out there. But like think about tax weeks. Like how do you set your engagement and retention metrics? It's completely different world. Probably day 7 retention or day 30 retention is not a good thing for you. Or maybe too long session times is not a good thing for you. I'm not sure. So how do you set these metrics? What is the methodology behind it?
Given the limitations of data storage, how tracking works, third-party
Yeah.
tracking, blah blah blah. It's like you would aspire to say like from day one we care about 3-year retention, but you suggested we're launching a new app. So like, okay, I'm a founder. I launched my new app. How the hell do I pick my my engagement metric? In this stuff that does have this less frequent engagement, like once a year, taxes is a once a year problem. We don't have to lie about that. Conversion is what matters. It's like how fast are people getting through it, and how fast are cohorts developing over time, and how do you increase cohort conversion velocity, and every single acquisition cohort. So cohort conversion velocity, I'd say, is probably the most important one.
Is it possible to track like referrals in that case? Like, of course, the conversion is the number one KPI for these type of apps, but is it possible to track your users, bring other users by just suggesting tax weeks, etc.?
Yeah, yes and no. I think I prefer the scientific hat. We get about 30% of the data that we would need to be scientific. So it's more like make a decision and live with the consequences. We just have a conviction that it's happening. We know people talk about this. Money is such a social topic. Trust is so social. So we're just making a lot of assumptions. We can't track some of it. We have a referral program, but then like how much is cannibalization? I wouldn't be able to tell you. There are some metrics in a dashboard somewhere, but that doesn't fuel the decision completely.
That's a great answer. So closing questions, really easy one, I hope at least. Like, what are you most excited about working on the next year? So what do you see for next year?
So I think we've just managed to hire people that honestly make me feel incompetent in each conversation, which is really awesome feeling. I love learning and just being in a room with marketing technology leaders, engineering leaders, and they are talking about things and you're like, okay, I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. I really need to get to the next level here. I think that let's say do or die quick development process I'm going to have to go through. I did it last year. I'm going to have to do it again this year. I live for that stuff. That's the most important for me.
That's a great answer. I mean, I 100% agree.
I think for us, last year was very much reacting and adjusting and relearning what retraining our muscles into learning what people really need. Because in the past, we had so much accumulated knowledge that we kind of knew what people need to train, and we kind of were a bit dusty on understanding what someone needs in the first 3 weeks when everything changed. So what I'm really excited is that right now we are much better in quickly learning what people need and quickly experimenting with new things. And then this process of I think we reacted enough to COVID right now. And now we have these new muscles of learning and understanding and experimenting. And what I'm excited for next year, well, we're launching a new product, which is super exciting. It's as well new venue for us because it's a bit hardware related. And games are super fun. And for me personally, the aspect of community and building this both local tribes and then the big movement, I feel we'll just started, to be honest, and we're getting momentum. So I'm really excited for what will happen next year.
Yeah. That's also a great answer. These chairs are not comfortable enough to sit in 1 hour, so we are closing right now. Thank you very much for your attendance. By the way, let me talk a bit about Storyly. We have a booth downstairs. So Storyly is also in-app engagement tool. That's why I'm really curious about all of the engagement-related stuff. We can discuss together. And thank you very much for your attendance. It was a pleasure for me, guys. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.